Hello everybody and welcome back to a video where I talk over a game, and today I wanted to talk about health issues with people on the spectrum. It's been discussed by various other people already that people on the spectrum tend to have a shorter life expectancy. I have previously talked about this before, I think briefly once. But I was thinking the other day that there's also something else attached to this, and this being that I think the general conclusion was that we tend to not contact healthcare workers as frequently as perhaps we should because contact issues, we don't like phones, etc. So there's barriers for entry. But there is also the fact that we tend to, as a group, have issues around food, around textures, around smells, things that we are very fond of, things that we will not touch. And personally, I experience this in the way that I tend to eat the same things over and over again for a while, and then I switch to another thing and then eat that over and over again. I just keep hopping from hyperfocus to hyperfocus. And as long as that is something healthy, then it's okay, but if it's the same unhealthy thing over and over again, that can lead to some issues. Now, fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, depending on how it turns out, I also have a bit of hyperfocus when it comes to supplementation, so I also do take a good amount of vitamins, which also changes depending on the month, but still, there's vitamins in there somewhere. Another personal experience that I have, of course, is my brother, who passed away last November. Now, I don't know what the exact cause is. They're assuming it was a heart attack or something like that. He had spent his 48 years having a very poor diet. Well, maybe not a whole 48 years, of course, when he still lived at home. My mother did most of the cooking, so he had a decent food then. Then there was the divorce of my parents when he was 13. I think that the food intake changed there because my dad's not really a big cook. But my dad was also not a great healthy eater, so from what I gathered, it was mostly soup with bread most days, and then takeout on the weekends. And maybe a few other times if my dad felt like it. But as my brother got older, he was also more in control of what he ate. And from what I recall, most of his adult life he would eat very poorly. He would eat whatever he felt like, which is usually takeout, lots and lots of sodas. He would drink tea by basically filling half of a teapot with sugar and putting the tea on top of that. So it was mostly sugar water with some brown stuff in there. He also didn't care to have anything checked out. Whenever he had issues, he would just kind of let them linger. So I'm pretty sure he's had health issues over the years that I just never knew. He had a huge issue with chewing his nails off. His nails were always super short, and you could tell that he didn't really wash very well either, so his hygiene was also an issue. But his teeth were completely worn down. He would never go and visit the dentist or anything like that. I'm pretty sure they hurt as well, because regularly when he would be drinking something hot, he would make this sound and it make it like a grimacing face as well. So I'm pretty sure those were also not in great condition. And he didn't care, and he didn't care to have them looked at, and he specifically did not care for anybody to point that out. But yeah, mostly the issues were his food. He ate tons of candy, basically just ate as a kid, but then in an adult body, with nobody there to give him something more nutritious to eat. And if he tried to comment on it, it would be met with resistance, and he would just continue the way that he had been doing the entire time. He would also eat enormous proportions as well. Whenever we would go eating somewhere, he would be the one who would be eating second helpings, all the leftovers, and he would just stuff it away. Now I think due to his rather physical profession as a truck driver, he also used a lot of those calories, so he didn't get gigantic. He wasn't slim, but he was sturdy, and that doesn't have to be an issue. But if your body is constantly being confronted with all this stuff that's not necessarily food but parading as food, combined with aging, because once you hit 40 things really do go downhill. Up until that point, I think you can coast on a lot of reserves that the body naturally has. The body is very resistant, but the stretch tends to wane after you hit your 40s, and that's when most people are presented with the bill of what they have done so far. He started to get more issues as well. A couple of months before he passed away, he actually showed me his legs. They had these big bruise-like scabs on them. Some people say it's ringworm. I'm not really sure if that was ringworm. Either way, it did not look very healthy. He had actually gone to a doctor about that, so he was worried enough that he would have those checked out. Unfortunately, the ointment that he got did not immediately solve the problem, and that also made him less likely to want to return to have them try something else. And that makes sense because it already took quite a lot to even contact the doctor in the first place, and if the doctor then just kind of sends you home with an ointment that doesn't actually work, then all that effort seems to have been for nothing, so why would you repeat that? So that is something I think a lot of healthcare professionals still need to realize, that when they get somebody over in the practice who doesn't normally show up, they really only have 1 or 2 chances to provide the answer, so you need to be on your A game, because if you don't, they're probably not going to listen to you and they probably will not return. Maybe that comes from having figured out how to live our lives on our own as well. Like, there's a certain way that we do things, otherwise things just don't work out. We've got our little perfectly balanced system to keep things going, but as we get older, that system doesn't work anymore. But we also don't want to accept any sort of input from other people because they don't know our system, they don't know how we work. What do they know? I'm not going to do any of the things that you're telling me to. And as long as you're reasonably healthy, that's okay. But if you're not doing anything to work on your health for whatever reason, you're going to end up paying the price for that. That might mean chronic illnesses, that might mean checking out early, unintentionally, might mean falling asleep behind the wheel due to an unchecked diabetes episode, I don't know. Either way, the thing is, as neurodivergent people, we are less likely to seek out medical professionals, which is something that is just difficult for us to do. What we can do is try not to have such mono diets, try to incorporate things into our diet and our exercise as well. That'll keep us reasonably healthy, so we don't have to go and pick up the phone to call a doctor, because we don't want to do that really. Take care of your body, take care of your teeth, take care of your eyes. Do everything in your power to make sure that everything keeps running as smoothly for as long as possible. But that concludes my thoughts on that topic for now. I might revisit it sometime in the future when I have something else, like a different brainwave comes up. But let me know your experience with this topic in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. In any case, thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.